Harrison Price for Friday, March 27th, 2026. We're a presentation of Bet365. Check out Bet365. The 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. We're coming to you from the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio here at the historic Wall Center. Visit shoptoyota.ca or visit your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. I'm Matt Sekeres. Please say hola and buenos dias to Mr. Blake Price. ¿Cómo estás?
I did not pick up any Spanish.
Mike Rogerson hitting switches and conducting things. You know he speaks Spanish because he's just most interesting.
Man.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. How was March break vacation with the fam?
Good. Battled some illness, not myself, but the group did. Yeah, fun to get some sun and good food, and now ready to tackle this playoff push here. Did I miss anything?
You're either early on the Whitecaps or Lions playoff push. You're right in time for the Goldeneyes playoff push.
Oh, okay.
Early for the Vancouver Canadians playoff push as well.
Important games in March are not a thing, right?
I got to say, I thought you would come back more tanned.
I was very scared of the sun early. Just looking at everybody that was around me where we were, there was a lot of red skin, and I was like, that's just not going to be me.
Lots of gringo lobsters.
Yeah, and I was just like that. I don't want to be a part of that. So I was well coated.
I'm fair. It's my mother's waspy side. So within 48 to 72 hours, I'm the lobster guy that other people are going, ooh, you should really put on some 30 plus. And then I get through it, and then the Hungarian side of me takes over, and it turns into a...
golden bronze?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I usually tan very well, too, but I didn't want to take any chances. So.
I hear you. Anyways, welcome back.
Thank you.
Got some sunshine for you outside.
Yeah.
You missed a whole lot of rain. You missed a whole lot of rain. There was some serious rain here last week and a half. Our daily poll question today, should Zeev Buium wear an A for the Vancouver Canucks next season? You can vote yes. You can vote no. Do so at the Sekeres Price X and YouTube channels. There does seem to be a little bit of a matter on X these days with polls. So
yeah. It seems to be widespread.
Yes, yeah.
Your vote probably counts.
It probably counts, but we're not actually sure.
Your feedback is definitely available.
When you have as many comments as you have votes, there's probably something amiss.
There's a ghost in the machine.
Yeah, absolutely. We're asking this after Zeev Buium shows some fight last night against the LA Kings. A little late, but nevertheless. And, of course... from what we've heard of Zeev Buium over the last month to 6 weeks, where he's really taken a more forward, I guess since the trade deadline, so maybe just 3 weeks, where he has really taken a more forward role in terms of voice and talking about the situation the Canucks are in right now and the pathway forward. And as we were talking about with JPat yesterday, he has really endeared himself to Canucks fans. He seems to have all the right words in all the right situations, and we'll hear from the young man here in a second. First, a couple of Canucks fans weighing in here after the melee at the end of the game with the Kings. This one from Jabo. We have seen some bad hockey over the last decade, but when was the last time we saw young, important players decide they weren't going to take losing laying down? Love to see this and hope it's the beginning of a new identity of toughness, win or lose. Well, I do think Zeev Buium's an offensive defenseman, and I don't necessarily think his brand is going to change to quote-unquote toughness. We'll see about the team. Of course, they have that big fella, Curtis Douglas, these days, and we'll see how they structure the roster next season. And then there was this on the flip side of the earlier take. When your franchise D-man drops the gloves, you know the vets need to go. Soft team letting young Buium get tag-teamed in the corner and not helping him. Well, they did come to help, but...
Yeah, it's a funny time of year for a team that's been this bad. We're going to get to how historic this could end up being here. It's to look at these sort of micro moments and wonder how it might indicate the future. It can be difficult because there's a whole lot that goes into these situations and also just a whole lot that doesn't go into these situations right now. But I'll say this about Buium. First of all, I hope his play on the ice backs up his development off of it. There's certainly a lot of potential. You can see the flashes. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be Quinn Hughes. Yes, that's true. But there is still an exciting bit of edge work there and offensive chutzpah that I want to see how this goes. But I do hope that for as good a communicator as he is, that the hockey follows suit, and he takes a lot from what he's done here in the back half of this season since he's donned a Canuck jersey, and in the next 2 years in particular, big development years in these next 2 years, that we just start to see a real steep upward learning curve.
Agreed. He doesn't habla Espanol, but fluent in Yiddish.
Yes, yeah. Found chutzpah. Chutzpah.
Oh, very well pronounced. Let's hear from the young man. He was talking yesterday, and boy, there's been a few of these since the trade deadline. And again, we've got to walk the line, draw the distinction. We understand there will be losses. For many, losses are the aim right now, although there's really no chance that they're going to finish anything but 32nd at this point. So as we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, you can pretty much root for victories again. But you want to see competitive losses. You want to see the team be ready to play from the jump, put forth a good effort, get their fair share of chances and shots and goals. And once again last night, much of that was lacking. Here's Buium talking about how they just have to play harder in front of Kevin Lankinen, but really in front of any goalie.
Kevin's amazing. I think he has such a great mindset, and he never thinks anything's his fault, and he never really is. And we need to play way better for him. We have not played, good enough at all, especially for him. And he tries to make every save possible, and it's definitely for us. We need to do a way better job of just getting guys out of the crease and just not letting them get there in the first place. And I think we're trying to do that, and I think that's just the biggest thing, is just trying to just playing a little bit harder. I think not panicking too. I think we get the puck sometimes and we just rim it or make a hard play, and sometimes we can collect it, talk to each other, communicate, and exit as a unit of five instead of just whacking it off the glass or something.
Yeah, and I understand why he's so fixated on Lankinen, as we have talked about this week when discussing Kevin Lankinen. It has been just a most miserable campaign for him. And, of course, he had that matter, that family matter that forced him to take leave of the club earlier this season. So we're not aware of the particulars there. They may well be. And it only ratchets up the guilt when you play that poorly in front of a teammate and a friend. That was the 25th regulation loss for Kevin Lankinen last night. That is worst in the National Hockey League. We've talked about how tough a go this year has been for him. 8-25-5. The goals against average at .362. The save percentage at .877. And it's a full 21 goals saved. Minus 21 goals save above expected. So, and look, he is not blameless. I mean, that Panarin goal last night is not an NHL goal. That is a soft backhander that you need to stop.
It also doesn't look great for him that, combined, Demko and Tolopilo combined are almost equal to the games played of Kevin Lankinen. It's almost an even split there. And that's a near 500 combination of Demko and Tolopilo. So
yeah, they're 13, 16, and 3 together. We've talked about this. It took Lankinen forever to match Thatcher Demko's win total.
And has only just matched.
He's only just matched it. They're both sitting on 8 wins, and there's a very real possibility that no Canucks goaltender gets to 10 wins this season.
And a lot of that
now, it was also his 5th straight start, and we've talked about this too. Like, Foot's going back to this well without really, there's no water there. And we know that Lankinen has struggled when he's had to play the lion's share, like an A starter share of games. So I do wonder what the coaching staff is doing to him here, but there's no way of dressing it up and putting lipstick on the pig. It's just been a horrible season from Kevin Lankinen. It's been a horrible season for the Vancouver Canucks.
I don't see the logic of starting him in all these games in a row. And to be fair, on his side of things, there's a lot of context that's missing in stacking up the wins of the other 2 goalies versus him, and that statistically there's not a ton of difference. He's got a worse save percentage than Demko and Tolopilo, but we're not talking about acres of difference here. He hasn't been very supported. Again, the leading active goal scorer on this team has 17 goals. He's not getting goal support most times out, which there's a lot of chicken and egg stuff here. Like, is the defense to blame in the creation of offense when there's only a 17 goal scorer on the other end of a pass? Or is the 17 goal scorer really a 25 goal scorer who would do a lot better if he was getting better build up from the back, to use a soccer term? So, I don't know that it's necessarily just a 50-50 issuing of blame. But certainly when you look at the blue line, I think there is more NHL reminiscent skill on the blue line than there is on the forward lines right now. And again, run support is going to be big for a goaltender. So hard to win games 1-0.
Yeah. So we're asking the question about Buium wearing a letter, not just because he has seemingly stepped into the void here, into the fore, and started talking on behalf of that dressing room, on behalf of his teammates, and having demonstrating some leadership in terms of his communication skills, which are fantastic. Seems a very bright young man as well. But also because, the Vancouver Canucks traded their captain this year in Quinn Hughes back in December. The Vancouver Canucks traded the conscience of their dressing room, a uber veteran who oftentimes was an extension of the coaching staff in Tyler Myers. And look, Elliot Friedman reported in his 32 Thoughts blog, and we'll take a look at the quote here, that Philip Hronek, who we know is being groomed to be the captain here, has stepped up his leadership in the Vancouver Canucks room. As Friedman puts it, quietly trying to exert more influence in a positive way as the Canucks chart a new path. Hronek's discussed everything from practice habits to how workouts are done to punctuality, to attire in an attempt to sharpen things. Lots of talk he'll be the new captain. Yeah, but we anticipate Philip Hronek will be captain. I know a lot of you believe don't name a captain, just play it out with the guys wearing the letter A until the team's in a more stable footing going forward. But I do think you're going to see Philip Hronek wearing the C next year. He's one of 3 guys right now that's wearing an A. The others are Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson. And Brock has stepped up a little bit as a leader here recently as well, as even mentioned that, hey, I'm not going to be asking out here. I'm here for the long haul, and he's willing to accept this role and what's going to happen with the Canucks over the next few seasons as they rebuild it. I voted yes on the poll question, Blake, and I voted yes on the poll question because I am A-okay with stripping that letter off number 40. To me, he has demonstrated absolutely nothing in the way of leadership, and I frankly don't think he deserves it. I think it's time to turn over the leadership group and introduce a newcomer to that lot. If not, turn over the whole core itself and move Patterson in the summer. So I'm a yes. It might be a little hasty. It might be a little early. I can understand some of the reservations, but what I've seen and heard from Zeev Buium certainly tops one of the three letter wearers as of this minute. So, yes, Buium over Patterson as an alternate captain next year.
I think it's 1 year too early. I need to see one more sample size that tells me that Zeev Buium is not going to be a Shane Gostisbehere player, that it's something a little bit more than that. Again, love is the way he speaks, and no one's doubting that. That's a good indicator, and I am not averse to slapping that A on him eventually. But I would love one more year of sample size for the player to see exactly how big of a player he's going to be for the Vancouver Canucks. If it's pretty evident he's going to be a top 3 defenseman on this team, then I think we'll see that next year. I really do. Because generally speaking, guys that are that intelligent off the ice and have the toolbox that he does, they get it pretty soon. Like, you don't have to wait for this guy to be a 25-year-old defenseman, I wouldn't think, based on early evidence. But I would love to see a little bit more evidence before I take this final step.
Before you crown him.
Yeah. And you know what? The contract does have a small bit of play in this. I think if it's a 2-year bridge contract or something like that, then even more reason to hold off. If they do sign him to a long-term deal this summer, that might indicate. But again, you've got time.
Yeah.
You've got time.
You absolutely have time. The other thing here, Blake, is you rushed into a couple of hasty contract extensions, granted with UFAs to be, not RFAs to be, because you've got Buium under club control for several years.
So you could try to fleece him and have a really low cap hit and make out like a bandit.
And I know Thomas Drance has been wrote about this for The Athletic, that, what the Canucks should do this summer is try to get a lot of these young players on long-term deals, give them the security that they maybe wouldn't have expected at this stage, that you wouldn't be getting with a team that's more cap tight and looking in terms of how do we fit all the veterans that we want on this team under the cap for next year. So that dynamic is available to the Canucks, but I do wonder how gun-shy they are after, let's face it, just a absolutely bankrupt summer last year, where just about everything they did went wrong. Mm-hmm. The Demko extension went wrong. The Besser extension went wrong. The Garland extension went wrong. The not getting a centerman went wrong. The trading for Evander Kane went wrong. The not replacing Pius Suter went wrong. Like, just everything about last summer. But poignantly, contract extensions were total busts from this management group. So that's the daily poll question. You can vote yes or no at the S&P. Well, YouTube for sure. We'll see about X. Our top story brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery, Yellow Dog Spirits. From Fight Club to showing some fight, young Canucks drop the gloves, demonstrate spirit on a night it was otherwise lacking. Yeah, it was earlier this week where Tyson Cole had the fantastic video of the 3 young defensemen, Buium, Willander, EPD, well after practice, having some fun, staging a little fight club, taking turns in the fisticuffs, taking turns being the linesman, the takedown, and, of course, their fun reaction to all of it afterwards when they were told, oh, by the way, you're on tape with all this hijinks. So, look, we discussed all week. It was a moment of fun and levity, and, yeah, you need things like that to keep the spirit and keep the smiles on faces, which get more and more difficult. Last night, Buium fights fellow young first-round defenseman Brant Clark. Tom Willander gets into it with Jeff Malott, an awfully tough customer. His brother's an MMA fighter. Tom, you don't want that smoke.
No.
But a lot of the fans certainly wanted to see something yesterday. To quote Jeff, do something. Well, they did something, Blake.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Again, hard to evaluate the importance of this. I think it's in isolation. It's a great thing. I still think that some Canucks fans, and probably myself indeed, have some JT Miller PTSD, JT PTSD, where ongoing temper tantrums are not my favorite thing to see.
No.
They're not a sign of maturity.
No.
They're not a sign of a true leader.
Father of 4. He has seen him some temper tantrums at home and at the rink.
So in isolation, by all means, I think I'll chalk up last night to it showed a pulse, it showed a fire, all good. You just don't want that to be the former. That's all.
Yeah. And, of course, the fisticuffs come after Tom Willander throws a series of haymakers at the bench. And I do mean the bench, not players on the Kings bench. I mean his own bench. Following that 3-minute shift where he's trapped. And the Canucks would actually wind up executing a horrible line change on that end of that shift. But, hey, it's the second period after all. They're still working on it 71 games in. And have been talking about shortening shifts and getting off in an orderly manner. And I think that's probably one of the frustrations for Willander.
Yeah. I mean, it's they are a team that is capable of making some pretty cataclysmic mistakes at any given point in a hockey game, and that's line changes for the bench. That's execution from the players, and I'm not saying that's probably not their last 3-minute shift of the season.
I'm
going to go out on that limb.
Oh, come on, it's got to be. You have an illustration there if you're the coaching staff to put on the next video. One of the Canucks assistants has to step in. I got to say, I've seen a lot of frustration on NHL benches over the years. I mean, I've covered the Canucks, Leafs, and Senators. I've seen a lot of frustration on NHL benches over the years. I've seen a lot of sticks snapped, that sort of thing. I've never seen a guy, speed bag the bench in front of him like that. And no, it isn't wise. You don't want to break your wrist doing that, Tom.
No, it's a lot. And you know what? I'll say this too. Again, I am a Tom Willander truther to some degree. I think there's a really good player there. We're talking about Buium in high regard. I am still not. Buium's got a higher end offensive upside, certainly,
no question,
than Willander. But I am not still convinced. I have nothing in front of me right now that tells me emphatically Buium's got the better NHL career than Willander. I want to see more evidence of both.
It's his rookie year, so there have been a ton of mistakes, and of course you can accept a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I do believe there are hockey IQ questions that are arising in Tom Willander's narrative. That's a difficult thing to overcome. He skates beautifully. I think he can be a secondary offensive guy for them. But, I mean, he's not going to be a 50, 60-point defenseman. So I don't think. And if you're not that guy, then you do have to take care of your own end and especially be a little bit better in the half court. It's one thing to be a puck transport, a puck-moving defenseman, quote unquote, which I think he can be because I think he's a great skater, and he's decent enough on the hands or decent enough on the puck that I think he's going to be a good passer. But yeah, taking care of your own end, and of course, all of this is colored by this foot system that none of them have been able to play this year. So. And we asked the question yesterday about, worrying about damage to young players, not just the losing, but what's being asked of them here and why there just doesn't seem to be any adaptation from this coaching staff.
I think ill-advised passes, ill-advised pinches. This is an interesting defensive system that Adam Foote deploys. I'm willing to forgive a lot of what I've seen from Tom Willander, and
that's fair. I mean, you almost give him a mulligan on the whole year,
and Willander's points per game is trouncing Z Buium's at this point. So he's finding a way to get it done at the same age, and he's actually they've got the same plus minus for whatever that's worth, and Buium's played 20 fewer games almost, so over 20 fewer games. So They both have some issues to work out, and they've been given especially in the second half here, a lot more minutes and a lot more times to screw it up. And so that's what you're going to see.
Let's hear from a couple of the particulars involved here. First, Buium on the frustration that boiled over in the third.
You lose like that, especially on home ice. It's never fun, and you see your teammates getting kind of jumped a little bit, and they're up 4-0. I don't think that necessarily needs to happen, but I'm glad that we all stuck up for each other.
Yeah. And here's Adam Foote when he was asked about the over-the-top frustration Willander displayed.
Well, I didn't see the camera on him and see that. I didn't see that he got upset. So, I know we've got a good D coach back there that, the good thing about Willander and Z, and you saw it at the end of the game too, they have a lot of fight. They're gritty. And if they got upset, they might have been frustrated that they can get a puck out or someone didn't get the puck out. There could have been a forward that maybe not get it deep for them to get the change. That usually can happen. And when you have, when you're playing a team like that, and you don't get it deep when you should to get our D off, and they come for that second shift on the D that didn't get a change, that's where our D have a trouble. And it's normal of closing and squashing plays and getting out of our end.
Mm.
And veteran tricks of the trade, when you're hemmed in like that and they're coming in waves and you can't get that puck out, veteran savvy that's earned.
Mm-hmm.
It's gained, right? You don't. Very few come out of the womb with veteran savvy when you're down to 0% on the battery and you just need to get the puck out without icing it. I mean, it's tough to do.
So Canucks get a moral victory, if nothing else. Fans get a talking point on their way out the building, but alas, not a real win. 4-0 Kings. Vancouver finishes this 8-game homestand 2-6. Just 3 games left at home, and the Canucks need to win 2 of them to hit 10 wins at Rogers Arena this season. As mentioned, this one got lopsided early from the underlings. Outshot 32-12, out-attempted 46-23, outchanced 21-8 at even strength through 40 minutes. That's a 50th loss overall on this season when you add the regulation and shootout losses to the now 42, and that is more than half the NHL schedule. Regulation losses. A 30th loss at home, too, 25 in regulation, 5 beyond. The most outright losses in a Canucks season is also 50, and the Canucks are 8 losses away from matching that futility mark with 11 games left. Could you see 8 regulation losses? Yeah,
yes.
You can.
2 8-1 is a completely doable thing based on the Canucks' current pace, and this isn't a criticism. It's just I can't believe that we're here. Like the Vancouver Canucks were a bad team for most of the season, but what was that? Were they 8-1 or something like that out of the gate?
Yeah, they were. The talking points through October and into November was, they're below 500. Oh, there they are at 500 again.
Yeah,
and just weren't able to take that next step, and then things got very poor in the next.
So to go from that after the first 2 months of the season to now. Maybe the worst season in Canucks history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was
a quarter of the way through the season. Like, you weren't tracking to be a playoff team, but you could easily have been tracking to be the type of team they were last year when they missed by like 6 points, right?
And then even later than that, Matt, I mean, it was a hot take not too long ago of, guys, I don't think the Canucks are getting to 70 points.
They're certainly not getting to 70
and
points.
So, again, we've gone from the first 2 months of, okay, it's a 500 team to, I don't think they're getting to 70 points to, I mean, do they get to 60? And at
they're
that point,
10 away. No, they're not getting to 60.
Like, getting to 60 is probably not happening here. This is bad.
Blake, we had the stat earlier, and it's not quite as bad now, but their goal differential. Like, I know you like goal differential as a stat. They're minus 84. The next worst team is minus 45.
Yeah. Like, that's astonishing.
So, like, you're nearly doubling up the gap between you and the next worst team on goal differential. And I think the other thing that has made it the other thing that has become stark in terms of this season when we talk about where they were at 8-1, October, November, and where it's gone from there, is you had a number of other teams that started the season so poorly and righted their ship and went on heaters. I mean, Buffalo's in the midst of one of the most historic resurgences in season. Now 44-20-8, 96 points with 10 to go, leading their division. Some were leaving Columbus for dead. The Columbus Blue Jackets are on a playoff spot and a divisional playoff spot now after getting on this insane heater behind our old buddy Rick Bowness, the happy Haligonian. But even teams like Ottawa was down and out for a fair bit.
Yeah.
Nashville was down and out for a fair bit. They're above the playoff bar right now. Even Winnipeg. Winnipeg's not going to make the playoffs. But if Winnipeg Jets players are talking to their local media today going, this is a big one in the playoff race, I get it. They're 5 points out after trolling with the Canucks down in the depths of the NHL for much of the season. So you've had a number of teams this year that got off to somewhere between poor and awful starts who have found ways to right ship. Now, of course, none of them traded a superstar player and their captain in December, and that, needless to say, was running the white flag up the flagpole for Canucks Sports Entertainment. But it's been said several times since, and we'll repeat it again after a game like last night, and an effort like last night, is just the capitulation here came quickly, and intensely. It was almost, I know they won those 4 games after Quinn was traded, but really after that, after they got we're pissed off, you traded our buddy and our captain out of their system, this has been a rush to capitulation, to just frankly, we're done here. Let's play out the string. They've gone way too meekly into the night, both in terms of a season context and in terms of an individual game context, and a great example last night. Part of that is their first line. It's god awful. The 2-goal game last week, breakthrough or breakout for Elias Pettersson. He even had a multi-point game earlier in the week. But, a point here, a point there, a multi-point game here, a multi-point game there, and then just total no-shows. Can't be a thing with your top line. Your best players have to be your best players, to borrow a coaching cliche.
I'll also exonerate them from, saying, we've traded away all of our best. But I mean, the Canucks, outside of the Hughes trade, did really well in terms of highlighting the players that they could do without. Like, Kiefer Sherwood was on a colder than cold stretch, remember, before he eventually got traded. And he has been pretty mediocre with the San Jose Sharks. 4 goals and 3 assists, and most of that within the span of about 3 games of each other.
Coming off injury, but I hear you.
Connor Garland did not want to be here. For all intents and purposes, he had given up on the team. Now, he's done very well in Columbus with 5 goals and an assist in 11 games.
But most of those points were in the first 2 games, Mike.
Yeah, and he'd given up, so you got to get that guy out of there.
Yeah,
Tyler Myers is a -5 in 9 games.
Yeah.
The only wishful thinking is they may have ejected Lucas Reichel a little bit soon. We'll see what happens there, but he's got 2 points in 4 games with the Bruins.
Well, how about play him at winger, not center?
Yeah.
I mean, think of it if you're Lucas Reichel. The team that drafted you moved on from you. They had been talking about moving on for you from a while. You get to a new environment. Oh, great, fresh start. Son, how about you play center tonight? Because we've run out of centers here. We got Hedel and Bluger hurt. We need you to play the middle. Anyways, that first line, terrible last night with Elias Pettersson. Foote acknowledged the lack of production, but he didn't want to go too far down the road. Here's Coach.
Well, we want more from them, that's for sure. I mean, I'm not going to get into all that right now. Like, I'm not going to get on the negative train. You know what I mean? I get it. You guys need your ticks, but I'm not going to go there on that one, all right? I'm going to make sure that we just keep pushing in the right direction, see the positives out of this. We got a young team. We got a lot of things different to have this year that you guys know are well aware of, and I'm not going to get into that.
All right, fair enough, Coach. What we do know is that Adam Foote is continuing to lean on the vets in this stretch run of a campaign that's ending in dead last. That was 5 straight starts for Lankinen. He continues to play Evander Kane with Elias Pettersson, despite the fact there is no chemistry or success there. And one wonders, okay, so why is this continuing? I thought a wise observation here from Canuck Jay, based on his convoluted answer a few days ago, that was on why Lankinen over Tolopilo. My read is that management or ownership is instructing Foote, we need to win some of these home games because we're launching our 26-27 season ticket campaign, and Foote is trying to tiptoe around it. Yeah, it could very well be.
And how did that go?
Yeah. But incidentally, you weren't here for the letter that they sent to the season ticket. What was your take on it?
To me, it's a marketing letter. It's. I think we're going to put more stock into what management ultimately, and Rutherford put out a letter last spring as well. After all was said and done, so I think those are the ones to go through with a fine-tooth comb. To me, I think this is a hallmark card to the season ticket base, and I don't think it has a whole lot of teeth without a name and signature attached to it. But
okay.
But per the deployment of the veterans, like, this is a little bit embarrassing. Like, say what you want about this team.
Yeah, like the kids could lose like that.
But I mean, and we're talking.
You're worried about losing 4-0 and not doing anything on home ice. Go play all the kids. They can manage what happened last night.
And perhaps this is why Adam Foote is playing these guys, but ultimately it is now just even more of an admonishment of these players, of a former 100-point guy, of a former 40-goal guy, of a multi-30-goal guy in Kane, of a multi-20-goal guy in DeBrusk. Like, all of these players, outside of Kane, none of these players are on the wrong side of 30. They're all in the lineup every night, and none of them look close to contributing. These players should be staring at the ceiling most nights before they go to bed going, what is going on here?
Yeah, I don't want to pick on him because I do think for the most part he's a good egg and a fan favorite. But there have been some nights this year where I've watched number 6 and just went, like, that's not an NHL player.
Well, it feels like that, yeah. Yeah, it seems like a really mean thing to say.
I don't mean this in a mean way.
No, I know, but I'm the same way.
Brock wasn't very good last year, and, like, this year is categorically worse.
It looks like he's struggling to get from A to B most times.
Oh, that's what I mean, Blake. I'm just like, he is having trouble getting to his landmarks, and he's got 6 years left on his deal. He's still on the right side of 20. What is this going to look like at 32, 33? They also set another ignominious franchise record last night. Did you see this?
Good Scrabble word, by the way.
Tanner Glass, line it up right here, buddy. 21 empty net goals allowed. So if they don't give up another one all year, that's still 1 every 4 games the opposition gets an empty net goal. That's usually a signal you were trailing late in the third period. By the way, they broke the record set last season, 20. 21 empty net goals. Like, there is some stat padding going on, especially around the West and the Pacific, on the Vancouver Canucks empty cage.
Do you want the positive spin on that? That makes their goal differential.
That means they were close. They were right there.
It means they were close enough to pull the goalie.
And it does inflate that goal differential.
Inflates that 85.
Well done.
It would only be 70 if it were a normal.
Right. And I saw this too and was mouth agape. I really like this Hamalytics account. They do good work. Hamalytics and Sapster. I like the work they do. And this is before the game, so it's not decimal point accurate. And in fact, it would have improved because they did not allow a power play goal last night. But look at this, Blake. We had talked about it. We were praising Adam Foote last year at this time going, holy cow, in a horrible season for the Canucks. Look at how much better they've been on the penalty kill after years of being horrific on the penalty kill. And then they wound up getting it to 82.6%, which was third in the NHL. They were the third best penalty killing team in the NHL last year. This year, they are not only dead last at 71.4, but as Hamiltonix points out, an 11.2% decline is the third largest in NHL history year to year since PK percentage became a stat 50 years ago.
I'm sorry, Pius Suter is not that freaking good at the PK.
But we talked about it at the outset of the season, Blake. Oh, you just waved goodbye to Pius Suter. Okay. Dakota Joshua, you moved out. Okay.
He barely played last year.
Who are the penalty killers? And then Bluger got hurt, and you were up Schitt's Creek on that unit too. So Foote as an assistant looking after the PK, excellent. Foote as a head coach with full oversight of a staff on the PK, not so good.
Yeah, to me, that's the bigger thing is I think that number with the people, with the personnel that you've got can be a lot better. It can be above 32nd, for God's sakes. Something happened there because, again, Pius Suter alone is not worth a dozen points on your PK.
He's a damn good penalty killer, though.
Might be true, but come on. There's a new beer coming out from Yellow Dog. Actually, from Neighborhood.
Love it.
To be specific, April the 2nd, it drops. We are giving you plenty of notice to be ready for this. It's bringing back the Lake Monster West Coast IPA. Legend has it, something lurks beneath the surface. Light and crispy, loaded with Strata and Citra hops, on tap and ready to go in the tasting room and available in select locations across BC. It's the Lake Monster West Coast IPA. They're a little more sessionable, those West Coast.
Yeah, they are. I'm sorry, but are you seeing what I'm seeing on Tiger Woods?
I am not.
ABC News reporting Tiger Woods involved in a rollover crash in Jupiter Island, Florida.
Oh, my goodness. We've seen that
Another.
movie. Yep. That's actual news covering that.
Man.
WPTV in Florida.
Oh, no.
He had just returned to the TGL for the final of the indoor golf circuit. And while he was...
Condition not immediately clear. Oh, boy.
Oh, man.
Anyways, I saw this from Canucks Army a few days ago, and I really liked the concept here. They do a weekly series, regular series on what would you do. But I really liked the question this week from Canucks Army. What is your 3-item wish list for the 2026 Vancouver Canucks offseason? And I will preface mine by saying I recognize it's very ambitious, and I realize there's a very, very low chance of going 3 for 3 here. But number one would be new ownership. The Aquilini's selling the team.
That is the longest of the odds, I would presume.
But as we know, Paolo wanted out. They had to buy out Paolo. There was talk about they're looking for an investor. So, after a season like this, with a franchise that could probably fetch you $2 billion US, after looking at the margins you're going to make, Luigi, on selling this asset, snowball's chance, I know, because what else would Francesco do? And, of course, he'd be less of a Yaletown star when you're not the owner of the Vancouver Canucks. But is there the possibility of a sale of the team or of an investor coming in, much like the Aquilini's did 20-plus years ago, Blake, and ultimately bought out and became the majority partner controlling shareholder?
Can I riff on that just a second?
Please.
If Paolo got paid out,
that's a lot of money to pay a guy out.
Could he save the Whitecaps?
Well, and there was a time when as I
the
understand
same
it,
one, isn't he?
the Aquilinis tried to partner with Kerfoot, but made a late competing bid for that MLS team in the expansion era when Kerfoot and Mallet got the team. I know Francesco has played a lot of soccer, men's soccer, that they love soccer.
But most people like Paolo the most.
Yes. Well,
if you could stomach an Aquilini owning the Whitecaps, that would be the one.
As somebody in the Aquilini family once said to me, Paolo's problem is he wants to save the world. And I did find it unique.
The Whitecaps would be good enough.
They thought that it was a problem. But Paolo has dedicated himself to a life of philanthropy. When you grow up with that kind of wealth and privilege, I think it's quite honorable, actually, and noble that you're going to say, no, I'm going to dedicate myself to using the resources at my disposal and make life better for others. Of course, also special needs child, have been very involved in the Canucks Autism Network. So anyways, I realize new ownership, not likely to happen. Clean house management and coaching staff. I want them all gone.
Wow.
Rutherford, Alvin, Foote, the entirety of the coaching staff. I actually might look at keeping some of the middle management. Todd Harvey's done a pretty good job at the draft table. I'll give him that. But Rutherford, Alvin, Foote, and the entirety of the coaching staff have to go. Chances on that?
At a clean sweep, I think is very low. Very low. Parts of that,
Rutherford's on his way out anyways. So are you going to let Rutherford hire the coach that you, or are you just keeping the coach?
Matt, they do everything out of order. So
yeah, carts before horses. Okay. And the third is to trade Elias Pettersson. I don't think you can reset your culture with him in the room. I think he's toxic, both for your organization and for your fan base. And as I've been saying to Blake, and Blake says to me, how much further can he fall? But I still think you are selling a little glimmer of hope that Elias Pettersson can get back to being the player he was in a new environment. I worry another season of struggles, and he's just an $11.6 million anchor. So new ownership, new management and coaching staff, and new first-line center. Other than that, quite pleased with where the Canucks are. What's your list?
Far more achievable is where my list is. A European free agent at both center and wing.
Is this Pinchuk, Vitaly Pinchuk, the Russian center?
Yeah, young ones, not 28-year-old free agents. There's always a bundle of those that people try to find a plug-and-play superstar. Find someone in the weeds, 23, 24 years of age. Yes, Vitaly Pinchuk certainly would be on that list. Theo Rochette out of Switzerland.
He's Belarusian, by the way, Pinchuk. I said
Is he?
Russian. Yes, Belarusian.
Theo Rochette, young Swissman. Another possibility. Can play down the middle as well.
Is he a former draft pick, him, or is he completely...
No, I think he's completely... one of them's a third-round pick. He might have been
No, he's completely...
completely free, yeah.
Oh, he's a Quebecer playing over there.
He's played for both Switzerland and for Canada.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he did so in one single calendar year, which is pretty odd. And one more KHL option is Daniil Emerson. He's had 3 good years in the KHL, like 3 prominent offensive years.
How do we spell the last name?
And he's only 23. AI and then Murzin.
We've had Emerson here, but it was Dana.
Yes. No, this is just Emerson.
23, right shot.
An option.
Mm-hmm.
One more first-round pick.
Yeah, love it.
Somehow, somewhere, even if that's gasp, Philip Roenick, you do it. And I'll open it up even to next year, too. I don't love that. The best time to plant an orchard is today, but if you can get a projected higher pick for next season, I'm open to it.
Can I ask you a quibbly little Blake Price style question on that?
Quibble the hell out of this.
Okay. He got in at 3 a.m. yesterday. He's maybe not at his most cheery, chipper best today, everybody, which is really rare because I've said it many, many times. Blake has one of the longest fuses I have ever been around anyone. Yeah, unfailingly patient. So for him to be just a little bit snippy
Right
and
now,
testy
you're lighting this
is
one in the middle.
Yeah, no, I know.
You're lighting the wick in the middle now.
I know. It's so much fun. They hold pick 33, the first pick in the second round. Would moving up from that pick qualify for your first round pick?
Sure. That is, again, the lesser of the preferred methods.
Okay.
But yeah, if you can make that 33rd with some sweetener become a 20th, then sure.
You've seen the San Jose pick is up to 39th overall now, huh? Has they fallen down the table? Mm-hmm.
Put Canucks fans first is my third option.
Oh, great.
If you're entering a rebuild, and make no mistake, they are entering, not blossoming, breaking through anything, skipping step one, or any other shortcut they want to tell you about. You're going to be bad next year. So give back to the fans. And the world's their oyster, honestly. Ticket deals for single games that are way beyond what they've been doing up to this point.
How about dollar hot dog night?
Promotions. Canucks score 3, you get a free blah, blah, blah.
Well, they're trying to do the promotion with the Uber Eats discount, but they're failing to get to 20 shots.
Right. Something doable.
Really achievable.
Activations that go beyond that. I thought off the top of my head, well, what if they host the BC Minor Hockey Championships on the Rogers Arena ice?
Brilliant. Love it.
Give back to the community. Do something that shows you are not living in the pompous palace on the hill, that you're with them. You're with the fans.
ECHL showcasing. Mm-hmm.
Something.
Very well said, Blake. Canucks prospects Anthony Romani and Matthew Lansing are both advancing to the regional finals of the NCAA Frozen Four tournament. Romani's Michigan State Spartans beat Connecticut last night. Lansing's Quinnipiac defeated Providence. No points for the Canucks prospects, but they're moving on. Keen Verhoff advanced with North Dakota, the erstwhile third overall pick in this upcoming draft. We'll see. While Gavin McKenna's Penn State Nittany Lions face Minnesota Duluth later today as the Frozen Four tournament continues. This from Pierre Lebrun about next year. We knew it was starting earlier, but Pierre's got some dates. He is hearing that the NHL working on the schedule for next year. Regular season puck drop September 29th, Blake.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, because they're trimming down the preseason, 84
84 regular season games. Blake, ending the regular season April 10th.
Dare to freaking dream. September 29th. Wow.
And then the WHL draft lottery was set yesterday. And basically, the entire cohort of 2011s, as hockey dads would call them, will be plying their trade in the province of British Columbia. And that is because the Kelowna Rockets, Vancouver Giants, and Victoria Royals hold 7 of the first 8 picks.
Like it.
Kelowna's picking first overall. The Giants are picking second overall. Wenatchee's the only non-BC outlier here, picking third. Then the Giants back on the clock at 4. Victoria back on the clock at 5. Victoria picks 7th as well.
Wenatchee thought they were a BC town. They were in the BCHL for a bit, so...
Cam Robinson saying he's hearing Parker McMillan may have the edge as the top pick over Madden Deneau, and that the Giants holding 2 and 4 is massive, real chance to supercharge their group.
Yep.
I also like what JPat had to say about this. Canucks need to match that Giants and find a way to get 2 of the first picks in a draft. Yeah, that'd be something else.
That was going to be one of my 3 things there in the last exercise was Canucks need to be the story of the draft. That would be the story of the draft if they found 2 in the top 5. But
I don't think you're getting
that's a little bit too. But wouldn't you love for the Canucks to be like, wow, really like what the Canucks did today?
Yeah. And again, like amateur scouting has been a strength of this management group.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sat there under Benning and we watched draft after draft go by
Blank
with
sheets.
an amateur scout, former amateur scout at the head of it, and just not nearly enough. You look at the 4 drafts under Rutherford and Alvin. Okay, Lekramaki got hurt, but could still have a scoring winger there. EPD's playing in the NHL already as a 3rd-round pick in that draft. Kudratsev's played 2 games out of the 7th round in that draft. And you got Ty Young, who's still got a fighting chance from the 2022 cohort. 2023, Willander's playing in the NHL. Bristevich was used as a big trade chip in the Lindholm deal. Mueller has played a couple of games from that draft. And you still got wild cards there. Sawyer Minio's progressing nicely. The huge fella, Vilmer Ulrichsen, outside chance. And then the last two, nobody's played an NHL game, but we've talked about Riley Patterson. We've talked about Anthony Romani, Parker Alcols, Basil Sensenens. And then last year, Kutz Medvedev, Dervin's looked okay. Bjork, Chiariot. Hey, pretty good work.
Yep.
Anyways, these two kids who are expected to go at the top of the WHL draft, Parker McMillan is from Vancouver. He plays at Yale Academy, previously at Semiahmoo minor hockey. Big right shot forward. When I say Blake, big, he's 6'2" at 14 years old.
Wow.
And these are 2029 draft eligibles. Deneau is a forward from Red Deer who, best we can tell, actually plays in his local minor hockey association, not in an academy.
Don't hear that much.
Yeah. We're not too far away from looking at the WHL draft and going, wonder where those guys will be when it comes time for the NHL draft and whether any of them may align with the Vancouver Canucks. Let's get to today's menu. It's brought to you by Greta. A fantastic spot to pregame or postgame. You were mere steps from the arena or a stadium. Also, if you're planning a party, an event, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to check out Greta. The private riser at the back. You got arcade games everywhere. You have a delicious menu of street food, the smash burger, a personal favorite. And for more information to book that event, go to gretabar.com, Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Jeff Marek is going to join us here, talk a lot of topics with Marek, including the Canucks messaging to season ticket members. We will talk about some of the OHL prospects as well, because Jeff follows the OHL quite closely, so he's got some thoughts on Riley Patterson and Medvedev, the goaltender, as well as Braden Coots. JPat's going to stop by, talk about last night's game. Kings dressed a couple of tough customers. Why wasn't Curtis Douglas playing? You got Buium throwing punches. I know we wanted to see Höglander, but has he missed 2 spots for Curtis Douglas? The Tampa game and last night? And then more on that top line, Elias and Evander, the 2 E's who are been F's this year. And then later in the program, Canada's a step closer to finding out its opponent for the 2026 World Cup opener in Toronto, and it could be the Italians. Opening day in the Bigs. And the Goldeneyes have a big one on Sunday. Not a lot of time left in the Goldeneyes inaugural season.
The Jays slipping to third this early in the season is concerning for me. You know, actually they're in fourth. They're in fourth place right now in the AL East.
It's a good day for the AL East yesterday.
Jays haven't played yet.
Tampa came back, right, against St. Louis?
No, they lost.
Oh. Boston won?
Boston won.
Baltimore won?
Baltimore won.
Yankees won the previous day?
Yeah.
Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I was the loser last night. Believe it or not, I picked the Canucks to win. You know, spoiler.
What are you doing?
I've learned my lesson. I'm taking the Flames tomorrow, and I'm laying a goal. So Calgary to win by 2, paying plus 145.
Jays starting their season. Kevin Gausman on the bump.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be jacked. I think he wants to have a great outing.
Walk here for him, too. He's talked about how much he loves Toronto and the Blue Jays and how he wants to stay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a statement game. I only need 7 strikeouts to get some positive value here. 7 strikeouts from Gausman, plus 135.
Every sports fan will tell you that not all games are created equal. Sometimes the excitement just isn't there. Sometimes you get it done. It happens. But at Bet365, boring games are a thing of the past. Now, there's always a reason to tune in, even if the score isn't one of them. And while they can't make every game exciting, they can help fans get excited about every game. Bet365. Download the app today. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Jeff Marek is next. So Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center.
And what a time it is to be a member of the Pizza family.
Mm-hmm.
The Volcano Dipper has arrived.
It's incredible.
I can't tell you what it's like to be on the forefront of technology like we are. I didn't think we were in the tech biz.
What I can't get, it just looks so delicious. This hub in the center of the pizza. For years, the pizza just had this, a middle that was indiscernible from the rest of the slice. Now you have activity in the center of your pie.
Let's face it, the center of the pie was a little boring.
Exactly.
The crusts were all the funnest.
It had room for improvement.
And Pizza said, we're going to do that. The Volcano Dipper. Pull, rip, and dip into a molten volcano-shaped center filled with the famous creamy garlic sauce, the perfect dip for the creamy garlic lover in your pizza life.
Innovators.
Only a Pizza.
Here's Jeff Marek. He's the host of The Sheet, weekdays on the Nation Network, and he joins us on Fridays.
Love that.
Hi.
Love that, gentlemen.
Hi.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That sounds... I've told you my theory on pizza. The reason it's called pizza is no matter how drunk you are, you can always say pizza. It is the one word no one has ever It's the one word no one has ever mispronounced.
That's right.
Anyone watching, listening right now, you two guys, Mike behind the glass, you've never mispronounced pizza. It is the perfect word for that food. You know what? By the way, before we get going, you know what I've really learned to appreciate in my older years, as I get older and older. You know who I really like
our
being
Pizza
around?
live reads?
I do love the Pizza live reads. I do have a very, very fond affection for those. No, but you know what I really, really appreciate? The older I get, and I want to be around them all the time, cranky people.
Oh, really?
I find cranky people so entertaining to be around. I want the person that shows up and complains about the coffee, who complains about, oxygen, complains. I want to be around that person. How you doing, Blake?
Do well in this studio.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Cranky pants.
Somebody got home at 3 a.m. last night.
Yes.
And we can tell.
There are two kinds of people, two ways that people age. Generally, the cranky person mellows with age, I find. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the mellow person gets a little more stickly with age.
Well, because I think you have a lifetime cranky quota. So when you start seeing the finish line, you were like, I got to get this out of my system before I take my final repose.
Look out.
Anyways.
I just like being around
See,
Buium,
Tom Willander, cranky last night. Quite cranky
Curtis Douglas.
At the end of the game.
Curtis Douglas.
Well, yeah, exactly. What do you make of the fact that you got the two young Canucks bucks on defense who were throwing all the punches last night?
I guess so. Frustration. End of the season hasn't gone great. I look. These are in a lot of ways empty calorie fights, empty calorie moments down the stretch here. But again, maybe I'm just old school. Hey, Marek, you got scabs on your knuckles. Did you walk over to the rink?
No, Jeff.
I don't mind it.
Old school would be, look at those young kids. They're showing fight. They're forging a new culture for the Vancouver Canucks. Toughness. We ain't going to be pushed around no more.
I think it's frustration. Although, you know what, though? You know what's interesting? Because I think you really touched on something here. What's interesting, you're seeing it around the league. Again, when things happen in major media centers, everybody pays attention, and you see it in every game now where someone gets hit. Right away, it's the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning pack mentality. I really do wonder whether other players around the NHL, other teams, looked at what happened with the Maple Leafs after Radko Gudas eliminated Austin Matthews, and everybody cut their skate laces and just stared, and then all the acrimony that happened, all the insults, questioning of manhood and team and all that. And I think players looked at that and said, I don't want that to be me. I don't want that to be us. So anything happens, we just grab a guy. We got to do it. We just grab a guy, or we'll be what happened to all those Maple Leafs players. Because you're seeing it every single game now. The minute, it's just like this hive, and it just used to be the domain of Florida and Tampa. Now it's everybody. It's everybody.
For a team like Vancouver, though, I see this debate after last night on what you said, what you guys just talked about. Matt asserting maybe it's some gumption, maybe it's from frustration, as you said. But for this market that has seen a culture of frustration and sort of the unwanted petulance rather than the wanted. People were split on what they saw last night from those two youngsters. Are those the fertile seeds of a fight that you're going to want in the next few years, or is this just more bad culture of frustrated gate slammers that really doesn't really help you in any sort of way?
I guess the question you ask yourself then, Blake, is would you rather that or just them skate off the ice meekly and take their medicine and get into the room? I don't know. Like, again, you can look at it and say empty calorie doesn't mean anything, but if I'm anyone on that team, I'll take that over just, you know what? Didn't win again.
We didn't like the JT Miller petulance when there was so much on the line, I think sometimes, and he himself wasn't attending to details. You're right. There's no win or loss here that matters. So it's a pulse at the very least, It's ultimately it's not going to mean anything because just playing out the string here, just get to the end of the season. We'll see what happens at the beginning of the season. But as far as like a pulse, yeah, that's a pulse from two key youngsters that are going to be a big part of this thing when this thing is actually a thing, whatever that thing is.
They're part of that young core that's ready to break through.
Just
Jeff.
about
they put it on.
Well, I kind of chummed the water. I knew what I was doing there, man, because I knew that you would take the bait on that one. This part of this young core that's ready to break through. Break through what? PG is playing against Spoke, so we'll watch Braden Coots. The OHL playoffs are getting going here. Brantford's playing Sudbury, and I don't know. I think we all looked at that part from the letter and said, oh, what kind of space cake are you eating? Like, what is that? It's like, who's this young core that's ready to break through? I think about the great, one of the great Winston Churchill lines when he talked about, towards the end of the Blitz, he says, this is the end of the beginning. This is nowhere even close to the end of the beginning for the Vancouver Canucks. And more so, it shouldn't be anywhere close for the end of the beginning. If this team is going to get to where they want to get on a consistent basis, there still does need to be more pain. There's no breaking through because there's no one there that all of a sudden is going to turn into a completely different player for next season. Brian Burke always uses the example of you need to shovel out the barn before you show the horse. They're still shoveling out the barn, right? They're still shoveling out and there should be more pain. Because if you're going to get great players who are going to take you to great places, you're not going to get it by just bottoming out for one season in a season where that wasn't even the plan. There is still lots of up here for the beginning. This is nowhere close to being turned around. I don't think anyone looks at this and says, "Oh yeah, they'll zip right back next season."
No,
not a chance.
April is customarily when they send out these letters, or going into April, going into season ticket renewal. I wonder if they should have waited here, Jeff, because I wonder how many season ticket holders want to know if the coach is coming back. Want to know about any off-season changes before they commit their money. And the letter changes drastically if on the final day of the season the coach is gone, a couple of managers are gone. However they end up doing things, this letter can change. So why not wait 3 more weeks before you send out this letter?
Because you want to budget as early as you can. Probably. I would imagine you want to know what your marketplace is like as early as you can and get money in as soon as you can. To me, I look at that and, look at most REIB and say the same thing. Why pay people not to work at this point? Why pay people not to work? Like the plan is, you can't tell players to lose. You can't tell coaches to lose. But if you're going to get better, there needs to be more pain here. I looked at that and kind of said, like, okay, that's an indication that this is going to be status quo. No one's walking through that door. We all know what July 1st is going to look like. Right now, it's Tuckamania, and he may just end up re-signing with the Buffalo Sabres. And then it's going to be feathers come July 1st. Like, there's no saviors coming here, even if you get the first overall draft pick. Gavin McKenna is not going to turn this thing around overnight. There's nothing coming here.
If Celebrini and Bedard don't do it, he's not doing it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So there still needs to be more pain, and there wasn't that acknowledgement there. Like the letter I've thought about a lot, and you guys are right there, so you've probably thought about it a lot more than I have. Like, when you're someone that receives this, the first question, because fans do have a vote in this, and fans do have a choice. You see a letter like that, you say to yourself, like, A, is it true? And B, have they earned the trust? Before you write a check, ask yourself, have they earned the trust for me to send in this money? And every fan has a vote there.
Yeah. Well, here's what I will say. The Canucks season ticket member tends to be amongst the kindest fan to club operations. We have long experience at this. They were particularly kind and forgiving in the Trevor Linden era because everybody here loves Trevor Linden and he smoothed over a lot of rough patches. They got angrier once Trevor was out and Jim Benning was running the show alongside Francesco. Over the intervening 4 or 5 years, they have gotten crankier and crankier, with the exception of 2 years ago, because it is now indisputable. It is, come into clear view for everybody, even the most blind loyalist in Ostrich, that this was a team that needed to rebuild some time ago and delayed the inevitable and wasted all these seasons. I do sometimes wonder whether they have a good handle on where their fan base is at, and if they are just accustomed to messaging to people who tend to take a kinder view themselves as part of the same team as the Canucks, and I don't know why the media and that part of the fan base is so cranky. And when I dissect how does that letter come out this way, that's what I kind of revert back to is, okay, they still think they're messaging to a fan base on the front end of something that they're going to tolerate for some time, whereas I think they're tolerating it less and less, to be fair.
Always dangerous when you take your fans for granted, right? Like, these are the people that fund the entire operation. Still, at the end of the day, the National Hockey League is still a butts in the seats league. And these are the people, the lifeblood, the ones that keep it all alive. And the best thing you can do in a situation like this is just admit, like, look, things went awful for us this year. And we own it. And we're going to continue to try to get better. But here is the reality. And here's how we're going to get there. Fans will listen to you. Fans will. Look what the Montreal Canadiens did. The Montreal Canadiens did that. And fans went, okay. And this is like, Montreal Canadiens fans. And when, in previous eras of the Montreal Canadiens, when the organization tried to lie to them about where they are on their winning cycle, they pushed back and wouldn't have any of it. But the moment that the Montreal Canadiens were honest with their fans, now it was sympathetic with what the fans wanted too, so I'll grant them that. But the minute that they were completely transparent and honest with their fans went, okay, we understand. Like, fans understand winning cycles and how teams are built and when teams need to be rebuilt and when teams need to be torn down. You can't lie to them, and you shouldn't lie to them either. I may be a painful truth that you need to get across on behalf of the organization, but if you want their respect and their loyalty and their money, which fuels all of this, be honest. And it might hurt you in the pocketbook initially, but long term, that pays off. The problem is, generally in the NHL, we've seen so many examples of where organizations are, penny wise and pound foolish.
As we've noted, though, there was a letter last year from the GM, from the president, pardon me.
Yes.
May 1st, May 2nd, which, acknowledged more disappointment, was a little bit more truth-telling. Maybe that's going to come too. This is more of a marketing letter than anything else. So
this is from the sales team, right? This is from the account executives who are trying to get those season ticket members to
there's
renew,
often a disconnect between those departments.
Right. And of course, those people can't speak with the same full authority and voice about the hockey operations, not their department and all that.
Yeah.
You wish there is some sort of alignment with the organization whereby somebody, like Jeff and I were talking the other day, like, did they sit around a table and hit send on that and go, yeah, that's going to land great? Like, you wish there was more oversight and vetting from different.
Just too many damn letters. When I need a filing cabinet for the Canucks letters, like, come on.
But hang on. Matt and Jeff's point is the right one. At the end of it, before you hit send, you really have to have the question is, how is this going to be received? Just because in your mind you think this is going to be received well, maybe call somebody outside of the organization. Maybe call somebody who has the nerve to buy tickets, and how is this going to land? But again, like I never think it's a bad thing to communicate with your fans, but not this way. And the other thing is, like, fans will not make the distinction. Oh, this comes from sales. No, this comes from the Vancouver Canucks. Doesn't matter what department it comes from. For them, it's from the team that they love. And it's for them the team that they've supported for however long they've been season ticket holders, and this is the team that they adore. They don't make the distinction that you know what, sales and marketing, whatever. We'll wait for the letter from Rutherford and Alvin. No, this is coming to them from the Vancouver Canucks. They make no distinction, none whatsoever. This comes from their team.
The Canucks do have all these players ready to break through. Medvedev should win the Vezina next year, I presume. Patterson,
he's not even the starter in London.
If I can just tail what Jeff said, Jeff, I think that is sometimes an easier position to get to for all of us because we work in front of microphones and think audience often. And I think it's another reason why professional sports organizations, I forget who said it a few years ago, but basically said, if you're a professional sports organization and you're not turning yourself into a media company, you're doing it wrong.
Yes.
So I do think,
that.
And of course, Canucks Sports Center has not been the most forward organizations. And the season ticket base and the nightly attendance, like, last night, Jeff, or Tuesday night, 18,001. Smallest crowd they've announced since the pre-pandemic. So the smallest crowd in 5-6 years. And we do think it was probably below 18,000. They just didn't want to have to announce something below 18,000. Yeah. But we are just now seeing the tiny, smallest fissures in terms of the attendance at Rogers Arena. And so when you're been in a 12, 13-year road to nowhere and you're still doing a robust crowd, I can understand why you may not be completely prepared for the onset of the tidal wave and the wave change that has taken place now with the organization. I think they got caught in that.
So I've always maintained, curious how you guys think about this, there is the worst thing that can happen is not people not buying tickets. That there's still one thing that's worse than that.
Carrying?
Where alarm bells really go off. Because I don't think it's the worst thing for people not to buy tickets. There is one thing that's worse. And that is people that buy tickets and choose not to go.
And we are seeing that a bit.
That is death. That is where, there's a real problem. You can get wins, etc. You can get people to start buying tickets again. But when you start to get the kind of apathy where you're paying a lot of money for tickets and still saying, you know what, I'm going to stay home and sort out my sock drawer.
Well, it's bad. It's a bad advertisement on national television, right? When people just tune in and all they see is empty seats,
but they're not.
It'll be a bad look.
And one of the reasons they're not, Jeff, the game against Carolina a few weeks ago, the get-in price was $27. We've heard from friends that have gotten lower bowls, like 8 rows up, for $55. So the resale market is very cheap right now. And the silver lining is there's a lot of fans who don't typically get to go to hockey games because they can't afford them, who are getting in on the secondary market because it's so cheap.
Smugly, all of us Canadians would laugh at the Florida Panthers, right? Get your car washed. Here's a ticket to the Florida Panthers games. Anything to get people in the building. We would laugh, and you've seen those crowds. Now, mind you, it's a Stanley Cup final, but still, you've seen the crowds in Florida. Again, I never think it's a bad idea to communicate with your fans, but pay them the respect of being honest, because we all watch the same games. We all watch the same players. No one's stupid here. Pay respect of being honest with them.
Okay,
and over the long term, you'll win. Quick
OHL update. Riley Patterson had a great season. What do you know there? And more on that Medvedev starting gig.
Yeah, Medvedev has had a challenging year with the London Knights. They've had to bring in another goaltender to handle the starting assignment for them. London took the step back this year, although they're opening up against the Sioux, and that might just be a jump ball, even though London's traded off the Woolies and the Sam O'Reillys. Medvedev has taken a step back. Riley Patterson's an interesting guy. Led Niagara in scoring. Him and Rubrek on that top line was with Ethan Zada was really good until Rubrek's injury. He's going to be interesting. He's going to play pro. I just don't know what he's going to be. Like, he's not going to be a first line center in the NHL. Is he going to be a second line center? Don't think so. Can he be a third line guy, energy in, kill penalties? Maybe that's where Riley Patterson ends up here. There's a couple of other. I mean, listen, Braden Coots is the blue chip prospect. Like Coots, like that's the one where you say, and you want to be sensitive and want to make sure you don't make any mistakes with any of your prospects. But with Braden Coots, like, that's the one guy. Be really, really careful with every step with Braden Coots, because that's the one that can pay off huge. I think it's probably a good idea for him to go and, rock the juniors next year, go play on a line with Cole Reshny and Caleb Desnoyers or whatever, and just go out there and dominate. There should be no rush for Braden Coots to get to the Vancouver Canucks, given where they're headed next year. But make no mistake about it, this is a special, special player that Vancouver has, I think, and he's done Vancouver prospect on every single list, and for good reason as well. Gabe Sherratt's an interesting guy. So Kitchener Rangers, I was in Kitchener yesterday doing some stuff for the Nation Network, some features we were doing with the Kitchener Rangers like we did with the Brantford Bulldogs before. Sherratt's an interesting guy. He's up and down, energy guy. Will probably play one more year of junior and then into the American Hockey League. Like, he's going to be an American Hockey League player for sure. Can he be an up and down guy, on the wing, energy guy? Probably. We'll see how he develops, but he's another sort of down the lineup prospect for the Vancouver Canucks.
And he got a lot of votes in that OHL coaches poll for hardest worker. So yes,
he does.
A good motor.
There's a lot of guys.
Actually,
like that Kitchener Rangers team, like, they work hard, man. That whole team works. There's the secret recipe. The secret ingredient there's a coach on that team by the name of UC Ahokas. Now, UC made the rare decision as a European, he's from Finland, to come over to Canada to coach junior hockey. Coach of the year last year. He's a big proponent of, and you've probably, if you've watched any interviews on YouTube, heard him talk about positionless hockey. And the idea of just like whoever's closest to the puck, like, I don't care what your position is, possession's more important than position. And that's the way the game is evolving. He is going to be on an NHL sooner than later. Maybe as a head coach, certainly as an assistant coach. He's probably in his last season with junior hockey, but you hear the kids talk about UC. This guy is spectacular. Players love him. Real smart coach, on the sort of cutting edge of where the game is going. Remember the name UC Ahokas, and he won't be in junior hockey for much longer.
How does he feel about Vancouver?
I'm sure that he'd love any opportunity.
Doesn't have
There's only 32 of these things.
Yeah, it doesn't have the cold tundra of Finland or Kitchener, but
It'll likely be a 2 to 3
he's in the
year
mountains
gig.
and oceans. And I'll say this, and it's ironic because, of course, the previous regime here was headed by a former amateur scout. This Rutherford Alvin, and I'll give Todd Harvey a lot of credit here, they have done pretty well at the draft table. When you take a look at the 4 drafts that they've put together, there's some NHLers there. Yeah. There's some guys on the cusp of making the NHL, and there's some prospects still in the system who have completely outperformed their draft position already. So that's all you can ask for. I think they're doing a pretty darn good job, actually, at the amateur draft table, and hope it keeps up, and it needs to keep up now, because we know they're very much in the green banana business, as you like to say, Mr. Miller.
We are. It's very. And now, though, again, don't rush any of them. Take your time. Nobody needs to get there early. No one's been hurt by spending an extra however long in the American Hockey League. there's no harm there. Like we think that players go from, you know, the draft and then the NHL, and that development piece right in between is just so massive. And that's where a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning, for example, we don't need first round picks, we don't need high picks. You know, our development is that good. You know, we can get good players here and develop them into NHL. We always forget about the development piece, and that's
was just
so
reading
crucial
about
for all.
that fourth line.
Capitals the same way.
Was just reading about that like fourth round Finnish center that Tampa drafted that scored more points this year in the league. 20-year-old than anybody. I mean, it's crazy how good their player development is. Look at Radish. I mean, for heaven's sakes, from out of nowhere, and he's scoring all these goals. Okay, we have reached Easter egg. Once again, you don't need to phone a friend. He is right here. He's a little cranky today, but Blake Price is here to help you.
I'm scared to talk to him today. He's a little cranky.
So,
on edge. Get that man caffeinated.
Yeah. So we're talking rebuild, and of course, the Montreal Canadiens didn't just talk rebuild; they did a docu-series called Rebuild. And one of the fruits of that rebuild is winger Cole Caulfield, who is at 44 goals, if I'm not mistaken, and looking to be the first 50-goal scorer for that organization in 30-plus years.
Couldn't make the Olympic team.
Right. Well, they apparently didn't need him, though, Blake.
No.
That's the sad reality. Of course, the one and only Flower Guy Lafleur is the all-time leader in 50-goal seasons in Montreal Canadiens history with 6.
Mm-hmm.
Who's got the second most 50-goal seasons in Montreal Canadiens history?
The obvious answer is Rocket. So that's probably wrong.
It is.
Or is it Rocket?
It is incorrect.
So,
he was, of course, famous for the first 50 and 50. That was his only 50-goal season. There were 4 40-goal seasons. There were 9 30-goal seasons. But it is not Rocket Richard.
Is it Steve Shutt?
And that would have been my guess. Steve Shutt had a 60-goal season. But that's it. 4 40-goal seasons, 9 30-goal seasons like the Rocket, but only crested 50 once.
God.
Bernie Geoffrion?
That would have been my next guess after Shutt. It is 1 50-goal season. It is 4 30-goal seasons.
Wow.
See, this is one that would win you a beer at a bar with even a staunch Montreal Canadiens fan. Guys, it's a more contemporary player. In fact, it's the last guy to score 50 goals for the Montreal Canadiens.
Stephane Richer?
It's very good, Jeff Marek. Stephane Richer has 2 50-goal seasons. 87, 88, 89, 90. He was 51 and 89, 90. That is the last 50-goal season for the Habs, and his 2 times hitting 50 is second best to Lafleur in their history.
They only have 2
I was stunned.
Yeah.
I would have thought
Beliveau,
Shutt.
not Lorenz, not LaRouche, not Boom Boom, not Shutt, not Richard.
Pierre
Like,
LaRouche, Pierre
go
LaRouche.
down the list of great Canadiens players, and Stephane Richer with 2 50-goal seasons is second to
That was
Lafleur.
it, eh?
Trot that one out at your next hockey trivia or hockey bar night. You are absolutely winning beers with that one.
How many was Shutt? How many was Shutt?
Shutt had a 60-goal season. He had no 50-goal season. He had a 60-goal season. And Rocket and Shutt both had 4 40-goal seasons and 9 30-goal seasons.
Beliveau did 47 and 45.
Yep. Beliveau never crested 50. Boom Boom got to 50 just once.
Wow.
LaRouche got to 50 just once.
Was Boom Boom's the year that he beat Rocket for the scoring title?
I believe that
had
is
the Richard riots. That was that.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I believe that is the case. Yeah. All right, buddy. Put that one in your pocket.
By the way, speaking of Habs, how about Carey Price the other day saying that Jacob Fowler reminds him of himself?
I heard that.
No pressure.
Yeah.
And now the ghost of Maurice Richard is going to come out and say that Cole Caulfield's the next Rocket. No pressure.
When
whatsoever.
I heard Carey say that, I felt like, well, first of all, I felt it was honest, but I also felt like he was trying to build the young guy up. And but I also thought to myself, oh boy, that is quite a comparison. Because the other thing about Fowler, there is no lack of confidence there, huh? Like he even talks about how cocky he is.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him do interviews where he's talked about, I've been knocked down a peg, and that's probably pretty, good for me because I'm.
Then does Dobish the Halak roll a la Price Halak?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
But extend the metaphor even
final
more.
With the backup goaltender again. They've done that. Except, of course, he is American and
yes,
and stuck in that logjam of American goaltenders.
Right. We'll have to worry about him in 2034.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeff, have a great week. Thank you.
All right, boys. Have a good weekend.
Secure some price from the historic Wall Center.
In this segment, a presentation of your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. 2026s are available, and they are selling. So if you want to join this rush,
I imagine they're selling more quickly these days.
They are.
With the price of gas.
They are. But the thing is, their price hasn't changed. And red tag days are on right now through May. Get while the getting's good. Get while the inventory is good. Because I have a feeling the pumps will be staying as they are for at least a little while now. And that's the beauty. When you get back to those days where the pumps are advantageous, well, you got a gas tank in the Toyota Prius. It really does it all. 72 kilometers of range when you wake up every morning, but a gas tank for when you need it most. It really has it all. Go take one for a test drive. You'll fall in love. Red tag days are on now. ShopToyota.ca.
Here's Jeff Paterson, the host of RinkWide Vancouver, our Canucks reporter, and co-host this week.
Mm-hmm.
After a
Dankeschön.
I mean, at least they showed some fight on the way out the door, Jeff. If not in the opening 58, 59 minutes.
Yeah, thank goodness for Zeev Buium and Tom Willander at the end of the hockey game, because this one very much on par with the performance and the effort level, the entertainment that we saw on Saturday against St. Louis, and really go back to the start of the homestand. And maybe we should have known then when they got shut out by the Ottawa Senators that they were setting the table for what was to come. But, Goose Eggs bookend the homestand here with the loss to the Sens, and then this one last night to the Los Angeles Kings. So, yes, they went down with a fight. I'm not sure that I love the idea of Zeev Buium a couple of months removed from having a broken facial bone duking it out, but it shows that he cares. And, I was okay. Brant Clark doesn't have a lengthy fight history either, so I think it was a fairly even match. I was a little concerned that if it completely got off the rails, Tom Willander was squaring off with Jeff Millette, and if people don't know, Jeff Millette's brother Mike is a UFC fighter. It runs in the family, and I don't think that one would have ended particularly well for young Tom Willander. So probably just as well that they wrestled a little bit, and no worse for wear. Tom kept his punches for the inside of the bench there in the second period.
Yeah. So I don't want to be hypocritical here because we were calling for Nils Höglander to get back into the lineup. But, the Kings drafted a couple of tough guys yesterday, Jeff. Like, if you're carrying Curtis Douglas, was last night not the Curtis Douglas spot?
Yeah, you can't be an enforcer if you're not in the lineup. You can't even be a deterrent if you're sitting up in the press box. Added to the list of questionable deployment decisions, I thought it was wild that Douglas didn't play against the Florida Panthers when they came through town. That there's a baked-in history there. His time in Tampa Bay, a couple of those games this year have been feisty to say the very least, and I kind of thought that was an opportunity. So I was surprised that they sat him down for that one. And yeah, I mean, there's this rotation right now of Höglander and Sasson and Douglas, and it kind of felt like they were back to taking Curtis Douglas out of the lineup. But you're right. The Kings do have some size. Adam Foote talked about that post-game. Now, they do see Los Angeles twice more, so I would be very surprised if Curtis Douglas doesn't find his way into the lineup the next time that they see the Kings. And we'll see if there is some carryover or if this was just an isolated incident. But, yeah, I mean, I guess I am surprised. But, I mean, how many times have we said this? Until Evander Kane gets to 1,000 games, he's going to be a fixture in this lineup. And so if he stays in, somebody's got to sit. People want Höglander to play. They want Sasson to play. They want the youngsters to play. And they want Curtis Douglas to play. So somebody else would have to come out of the lineup at this point. And right now, the Canucks just don't seem prepared to go beyond that circle of 3 guys that are doing it on a rotating basis.
The deployment going forward and any call-ups, I mean, how much do we now scrutinize this for next year for management and for coaches? We are officially into double silly season where, the Canucks can win out happily and be the last place team in the National Hockey League. What do you think has changed in the last, after a 2-6 homestand? I mean, like, all bets are now officially off. What is going to be served here the rest of the way from the rest of the roster, never mind just Evander Kane?
Well, I am a little concerned. There's 11 games to go. That's not an insignificant amount. I mean, we can see the finish line now, but if you look beyond this game in Calgary on Saturday, every other opponent is in the thick of a playoff race. Maybe San Jose is starting to fall off now, but so many of them are going to have a lot to play for, like the Kings did last night. They see the Kings twice more, a couple of games left against Vegas, Utah Hockey Club, and then, of course, next week on the road, back-to-back Colorado and Minnesota. So if 2 of the last 3 efforts have been subpar as they were against the Blues and the Kings, what is ahead for this group? And this is where I guess I'm disappointed and a little bit frustrated that there isn't more on the farm. Like, if the guys at this level aren't getting the message and they're not responding, I wish there were a few other guys that they could call up and inject into this lineup that you think would play hard and trying to prove themselves and make some sort of impression. You can look at a 4-0 loss in a lot of ways. The veteran players, the top of the lineup, not anywhere close to good enough, but I do come back to these guys that we talk about. The young guys are getting some minutes. Make the most of them. And like Nils Höglander had a nice first shift in the hockey game. I thought, okay, he's active tonight. Maybe this is going to be the night that we, come away thinking, all right, like give more ice time to Nils Höglander. And yet, like so many others on that team, I mean, that was it for him. I thought the team as a whole was okay for the first 10 minutes. And then after that, ran into some penalty problems. But Höglander, just a silent night for Max Sasson, who, has shown well in spurts, but right now, really go back to the trade deadline, they've moved him to the wing, and there has been nothing there in his game. Aatu Räty, if he's not winning faceoffs, there isn't much in the way of a tangible takeaway, and last night was one of those rare nights where he got absolutely schooled in the faceoff circle. We just haven't seen that. So, I want to see thorough professional efforts from the guys that you would expect, and then this play the kids movement. I'm on board. Play the kids, but I want to see them do a little bit more with their opportunities. And when I say kids, I mean Höglander's included in that group, but he's 25 and a half. We spent a fair bit of this week in your absence, Blake, talking about Nils Höglander, and I think last night was another night where you just lump it on the pile of performances that just don't seem to be leading anywhere for this player. And so that's why I wish they've got these call-ups. Remember last year after the trade deadline, they had all that cap space that they had accrued and they didn't do anything with it. Here they've got these call-ups. Like, it's there within their power to bring some guys up, but there's just nobody down on the farm that you really want to get a good long look at here down the stretch with these remaining 3 weeks of the season.
I want to see Kudryavtsev. In fact, I could be even convinced to wanting to see Minio, but anyways,
okay,
we shall
fair
see.
enough. But they're both defensemen.
Oh, okay.
Up front, there's almost nothing. If Ty Mueller, fine.
Mueller would be the yeah. Well, this guy wants to see Klimovich before he hits RFA
Put
status.
it in my veins.
You mentioned the faceoffs, Jeff. 11-1, 31 lost. I mean, 26% in an NHL game. Like, that's getting your head kicked in. And the bro line has gone quiet again, but it was a question about the first line that had everybody talking. Jeff, what did you make of Adam Foote? He acknowledged it, but he didn't want to go down the negative train on the Elias line.
No. And it comes back to this idea that Elias Patterson and Evander Kane haven't worked all season, and yet they've been joined to the hip, and it's just so hard to figure out and explain. And I would imagine it's going to continue. Adam Foote told me the other day that they're going to play Kane until Monday night at the very least to get him his 1,000th game. So I would expect we see those two together on Saturday in Calgary and again in Vegas on Monday. And then after that, maybe, maybe we see them go away to some different ideas. I know Tyson Cole asked Adam Foote if he had any duos left that he hadn't experimented with that he wanted to see. And he said, hey, I appreciate the question, but I'm not going to answer that. The options are limited. We get that. But the face-offs, and part of that is you just expect Ratu to hold his own at the very least, and he didn't have it. But against the Kings team, like, look down the middle, Anze Kopitar, Quinton Byfield, they pick up Scott Lawton. Like, those are three pretty stout, big, solid centermen, and kind of felt like they just wanted the puck and could do whatever they needed to get it last night. And once the Canucks don't have the puck, they're not particularly adept at going and getting it and winning it back. And so that was all sort of the start of the spiral for them, along with the penalty issues that led to the opening goal on the power play. So, add face-offs to the lengthy list of things that haven't gone well and certainly didn't go well for the Vancouver Canucks last night.
Everybody was loving what the kids were bringing to practice and the fake fights and all that sort of, and it was just, it brought some levity to the end of this season. Is there any risk here, as you talked about those last 11 games, of the culture problem rearing its head a little bit, or is it just not enough runway for that to become a legitimate concern?
No, I think there are, again, 11 games. Like, they've lost 4 in a row in regulation here. I look at the remaining schedule. I think they'll find a way to win somewhere, but I don't know that they're going to have 2 wins the rest of the way. And so you do the math there, 4 already and 11 more to go. Like, this could be a 1-14, 2-13 kind of finish to a dreadful season. And they already had that run in January, where the losses mounted in a hurry and the frustration started to boil over. And at that point, you got a sense that maybe some guys wanted out. And ultimately, that's what happened at the trade deadline. So, there's just enough left in the schedule here, and the quality of opponents. And, that's the other part of the homestand here, guys, is, like, I don't want to take anything away from Travis Green and what he's got going in Ottawa, but the Sens are they're fighting for a playoff. Like, they are a middling team that is starting to figure it out. But beyond that, like, Tampa was really the only legit contender on this 8-game homestand. Otherwise, it was the Kings, it was the Kraken, it was the St. Louis Blues that came in here and ran the show. And so there has to be a baseline. Like, there has to be a baseline of professionalism. Yes, they've got these young guys in the lineup, but half the lineup is veterans and guys that are being paid handsomely to at least show up and offer some level of resistance and deterrence and all that kind of stuff. And that's gone out the window. The Anaheim game, they seemed into it then, but that's kind of been this trend of one decent game that isn't good enough to produce a result, but followed up by, are they getting comfortable with their one game? Are they believing that the vibes truly have changed? Because good vibes was one of the stories coming out of training camp. If we all go way back, remember, the vibes were good at camp, and then the vibes were good again right after the trade deadline. And here they are, 4 straight regulation losses, and now packing their bags and heading on the road. So I still, like, in terms of player development and just the psychological damage of 1 or 2 wins over the final 15 games heading into the offseason. But it's on them, as they've said themselves. Nobody's coming to help them. There's nobody.
8 games is too long, though, right? 8 games is too like that. That I don't think that helps being home for 8 straight games.
Oh, 2 8-game homestands. When the schedule came out, I remember thinking ridiculous. Like, the idea of back end loading your schedule with home games because you're going to be in the thick of it and home ice advantage, and just to think that was once an idea. And then you look at the home ice record this year and the way the season has gone. And we said it once things like once Quinn was traded and things started to slip away, we said, man, 2 8-game homestands. The first one was star-laden with Sid, Novi, and McDavid and Celebrini. And you could almost make a case that, there was something to see on the other team at the very least. This one was always going to be a tough sell. There just wasn't a whole lot of star power, and ultimately not a lot of goals, not a lot of shots, and not many wins for the Vancouver Canucks. So, yes, you could probably get away with 1 8-game homestand in a season, but if they have a say with the National Hockey League, 2 8-game homestands in the second half of a season, just way, way too many.
Let's end on the poll question from today. Steve Buium, Jeff, do you want to see him? We talked about his leadership this week when you were in, about some of the words and that are landing so well with Canucks fans. You tell me, should he wear an A next season?
It seems like an awful lot, maybe too soon, but if they're going to commit to him in the offseason, if they do go down that road and commit to him long term, then I probably have a little bit more time for bringing him into the true leadership group here. Again, we don't know who's going to be behind the bench, making those sorts of decisions, but I can understand the question. I probably would say no at this point. I'm still kind of in the camp that thinks they can probably get through next year without a captain and just work some veterans with letters as part of your leadership group. But again, decisions have to be made quickly here in the National Hockey League. And one of those is with this idea that they could, if they wanted to go 8 years with Zeev Buium, the summer presents that opportunity. I don't know that it's going to happen ultimately. But if they do, that's a signal that they truly believe in this guy. And there's lots to like in Zeev Buium, so I understand considering it, but I probably would vote no at this stage, just to stapling a letter on him. But I do like a lot of what I've seen, and certainly a lot of what I've heard. And again, last night, another command performance post-game from this guy who just turned 20 in December.
Yeah, no, he doesn't lack for the right words at the right time. Great stuff, Jeff. Have a fantastic show tomorrow night after the Calgary game, and we will catch up on Monday, my friend.
Yes, and we will count down the minutes to Evander Kane's 1,000th game at T-Mobile, as long as he gets through Saturday in Calgary.
Secure some price from the historic Wall Center in the Pacific Toyota Dealer Studio, built by Arbor Lee. The real win happens after the final buzzer. Stay downtown, stay comfortable, stay close to everything at Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center. Your game day home base starts at wallcenter.com. The final 6 spots in the 2026 FIFA World Cup in North America are up for grabs Tuesday after results from the last chance tournaments that began yesterday. And for Canada, they will get the winner of Italy and Bosnia-Herzegovina in their World Cup opener in Toronto in June.
Good news. That's good news.
Is it?
Yes, because Bosnia-Herzegovina, if your goal is to not have Italy in the group, and I think that's most people's goal, Bosnia-Herzegovina going in was projected to be the best weapon against Italy. So you're getting that matchup. The best bet to beat them is there. That's what you want.
Bosnia-Herzegovina defeated Wales. Italy beat Northern Ireland. It was not a good day for the British Isles and surrounding islands, as Wales, Northern Ireland, and Ireland all lost. So this Bosnia-Herzegovina-Italy winner joins the Canadian group with Switzerland and Qatar. Yeah. And, of course, we're all worried that if it is Italy, it turns into a de facto road game at Toronto's BMO
Can you imagine?
Field. Czechia advanced past Ireland. Sadness throughout Kitsilano, the 33rd county of Ireland.
I'm sorry, what? The 30... How many different countries are you claiming Kitsilano for?
Are you not familiar with this?
Oh, is it Irish town too, in addition to this purported Greek town?
Kitsilano, historically Greek town. Everybody in Vancouver knows this. I've said it before, I have to disappoint my fellow Kitsilano residents because they all go, "Oh, Sakaris, is that Greek?" I go, "No, actually, it's not."
Upwards of 3 to 4 Greek businesses in
you just go down Broadway and you count up the Greek restaurants, Blake. Okay, not to mention Greek days every year.
Well, if they call them Greek days, it
Broadway,
must be Greek town.
Between McDonald and Blenheim.
Where's the Irish part coming from?
Well, the Irish have turned Kitsilano into their home away from home as well. I mean, you hear nothing but Irish accents in Kitsilano, thus making it the 33rd count. Everybody knows this joke now, Blick.
Irish and Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else you'd like to claim for Kitsilano?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how the migration patterns continue here.
Yeah.
So anyway, sadness throughout Kitsilano. Ireland lost. The Czechs will face Denmark. Sweden, Turkey, Poland, Kosovo also alive in the European pathways. The winners of Jamaica, Congo, and Iraq, Bolivia will also get bids to the World Cup. Canada plays Iceland tomorrow in a friendly from BMO in Toronto. And meanwhile, story in the Globe and Mail today. FIFA canceling thousands of hotel bookings in host cities, including Vancouver and Toronto. cancellations in Vancouver are some upwards of 70-80% of the room reservations made by FIFA. What's going on here?
Not glorious matches here. Probably a big reason for that. And again, that's not for fans. This is FIFA for their own dignitaries and all that sort of stuff. So this goes now back into the fan pool and will allow the fans to gobble them up. So this is happening around North America, and this is custom. You overbook yourself so that you're not left with your pants down. You overbook and then you cancel. It's generally more in the 30 percentile range. So this is pretty steep in Vancouver, but maybe they just way overbooked.
I mean, I can
in
understand the U.S. There's a lot of countries that aren't traveling to the U.S. right now, but I thought we would have been a little bit buffered from this.
Well, again, this isn't the fans.
No, I know,
yeah.
but still, I mean, FIFA dignitaries, you don't want to see Vancouver in June and July, man?
Yeah.
That's when you want to be here.
I wonder if this is more of, FIFA's not covering themselves in glory with the way they are cozying up to the country south of our border. And I wonder if some countries are like, I just don't want to be a part of this year.
Opening day for the Jays. They're hanging an ALCS banner at Rogers Center before first pitch versus the Athletics. The Athletics, once again, without a city name this year, just the Athletics.
Like Cher.
Yeah, play in Sacramento on their way to Las Vegas. Kevin Gausman on the bump for the defending American League champions. Still have those 4 former Vancouver Canadians on the roster: Addison Barger, Davis Schneider, Mason Fluharty, and Trey Savage, who will start the season on the IL. The Mariners wasted 4 home runs, including a leadoff shot from newcomer Brendan Donovan and 2 jacks from Dominic Canzone. Fall to Cleveland 6-4 at T-Mobile on their opening day. They're back at it today with George Kirby on the bump against Gavin Williams. Another good pitching matchup there. And the Vancouver Canadians begin their Northwest League season 1 week from today in Tri-City. The home opener is Tuesday, April 7th, 7 p.m. versus Eugene, celebrating 75 years of Nat Bailey Stadium this year, nay Capilano Stadium. Get your tickets, 604-872-5232 or CanadiansBaseball.com.
That day always creeps up on me because it's, there was the little
it used to be June when it was short season.
The short
ball,
season.
yeah.
So you do have to sort of shake your head a little bit. Right, they are back at it soon.
Well, and just in the nick of time, because for those of us who like going to sporting events, like the Canucks are done in mid-April.
Yeah,
the Giants are already done. The Whitecaps have this huge run of home games, but then they go away for a long period of time with the World Cup here. And, of course, as we know, the Lions season at BC Place is also interrupted this year. No games at BC Place.
The AHL season goes a long ways, but it's all garbage time for the Abbotsford Canucks.
They're playing out the string as well. Did you know we went 0-4 again on Saturday? I shouldn't say that. We went 0-3-1. There was an overtime loss in there, but second straight point. Saturday with no hockey victories
got a point.
for the
oh man,
Vancouver and Vancouver adjacent clubs. And the Vancouver Goldeneyes are in Toronto Sunday and getting close to must-win time here. They are 7 points back of the playoffs with 3 teams to jump. 8 games remaining in their inaugural PWHL campaign. The Scepters are holding down that final playoff spot, so this is a big one. And should again mention, it's 3 points for a regulation win in the PWHL, so the Chasers, the calculus is a little friendlier to the Chasers than it would be in the NHL. No, you saw the story, PWHL looking at expanding between 2 and 4 teams going forward. They've had some very successful takeover tour games in neutral sites that have brought out big crowds.
Might I suggest you just continue with that for a little bit?
Yeah. We talked about it earlier this week. There are just not a lot of goals in this league. Goldeneyes don't actually even average 2 goals per game.
Yeah.
Final results of the poll question from yesterday. We asked you, are you worried about the damage being done to young players' development? Yes, no. The people said...
they said no.
That's correct. They said no. Percentage?
80.
No. What are you talking about? Sorry, they said yes.
Really?
56% of them said yes.
Really?
Yeah. Alan, it's one of the dangers of rebuild tanking. It's probably the only chance you have to get better, but the danger of creating low standards in a losing culture can be a big problem. Pigdom says yes, not because of all the losing, but because of the clueless coaching staff, the system, the structure. Manny can't be called upon soon enough. And Fed Up Canucks says, nah, they got to learn to lose before they can win. Errors and omissions from yesterday's program and beyond. JPat was wondering who Australia's opponent here in Vancouver would be in the World Cup. Well, it could have been Turkey, Romania, Slovakia, or Kosovo, but that's now down to Turkey and Kosovo, who won yesterday and will play for the right to join.
Turkey got a scare. It was very close there. So we'd all penciled in Turkey, but they got a little fright.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to all our sorted channels, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Follow on social, X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, live on many of those platforms, noon Pacific time weekdays. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about. Have a great weekend and keep it local.